Most people don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they lie to themselves every single day. And the worst part is, most people never realize they're doing it. They call fear patience. They call comfort strategy. They call avoiding things peace. But centuries ago, Niccolò Machiavelli warned about this. The most dangerous lie is not the one other people tell you. It's the one you quietly tell yourself when nobody is watching. It's the excuse you repeat again and again until it starts to sound like the truth. It's the story you tell yourself so you can sleep at night while your dreams slowly fade away in the dark. In this video, I'm going to explain 8 ruthless Machiavellian principles that reveal self-deception and show why brutal honesty with yourself is the real foundation of power, clarity, and control. This is not motivation. This is psychological warfare against your own weakness. This is about looking in the mirror and telling yourself the truth, even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. Because the pain of truth is temporary. But the price of lying to yourself lasts forever. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Machiavelli believed self-deception is the first step toward defeat, and why the most powerful thing you can do is stop protecting yourself from reality. If you're interested in mastering psychology, influence, and self-control, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we break down powerful ideas like this every week. Now I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose truth. Let's begin. Number 1, comfort is often a hidden lie. Here's a lie people tell themselves every day. I'm waiting for the right time. Let me translate that. What they really mean is, I'm avoiding discomfort. They're not being strategic. They're scared. They're not being patient. They're stuck. But they dress it up with words that sound smart and reasonable. Words that sound like wisdom. But it's not wisdom. It's weakness hiding behind excuses. Machiavelli understood this well. He knew power favors people who act, not people who keep waiting. Action creates momentum. Delay creates decay. And comfort? Comfort is like a drug that keeps you stuck. It whispers to you, stay where you are. It's safe here. Don't risk anything. Don't push yourself. Don't try. And you listen. Because comfort feels good. But here's what comfort really does. It makes you predictable. And predictability destroys power. When you're too comfortable, you stop growing. You stop adapting. You stop sharpening your skills or testing your limits. You're just existing. Going through the motions. Playing it safe. Hoping things somehow work out without you taking any real risks. And that's exactly where people want you. Your competitors want you comfortable, because comfortable people don't compete seriously. Your enemies want you comfortable, because comfortable people don't fight back. Even your own mind wants comfort, because discomfort takes energy, focus, and risk. Comfort requires nothing. And that's the trap. Comfort lies to you by making you think everything is fine. That there's plenty of time. That there's no need to rush. But while you're sitting in comfort, the world keeps moving. Opportunities pass. Time keeps running. Other people are taking the risks you're avoiding. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day you'll wake up and realize something painful. Comfort didn't protect you. It trapped you. So ask yourself honestly. What am I calling waiting for the right time that is really just fear? What am I calling being smart that is actually just playing small? What am I calling strategy that is really just stalling? If you're brutally honest with yourself, you'll see the lie. You'll see that comfort has been whispering sweet lies in your ear while your potential slowly dies from boredom. And once you see the lie, you can break it. Not by waiting. By acting. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose discomfort. Number 2, self-deception is the first form of weakness. Here's something most people don't want to hear. Lying to yourself feels safe. It feels comfortable. It feels like you're protecting yourself. But in reality, it slowly destroys your edge. Every time you lie to yourself, you give up a piece of your power. You choose ignorance instead of awareness. You choose fantasy instead of reality. And that small choice slowly creates cracks in the foundation of your life. Machiavelli understood this better than most people. He studied rulers, leaders, and conquerors. And do you know what he discovered? They didn't fall because of their enemies. They fell because they misunderstood themselves. They believed their own hype. They ignored their weaknesses. They convinced themselves they were unstoppable, until the moment everything collapsed. Here's the truth. If you can't clearly see your own flaws, someone else will use them against you. Your blind spots become their weapons. Your denial becomes their opportunity. Your self-deception becomes their strategy. Think about it. If you lie to yourself about your abilities, you won't prepare properly. If you lie to yourself about your habits, you won't change them. If you lie to yourself about your situation, you won't fight to improve it. Instead, you accept it. You justify it. You make peace with mediocrity. And that's where weakness really begins. Not in your circumstances. Not in your resources. Not in your background. Weakness begins when you refuse to face the truth. The moment you start lying to yourself is the moment you give control of your life to forces you can't even see. Because you're no longer fighting reality. You're fighting a fake version of yourself that doesn't exist. And you can't win a war against ghosts. So here's the principle. Self-deception is the enemy. It's not helping you. It's not protecting you. It's poisoning you. And the cure is simple. Brutal honesty. Look at yourself. Really look. And name what you see. Not what you wish was there. Not what you hope to become. Not the version you pretend to be on social media. Look at what is actually there. Right now. Today. Your real habits. Your real discipline. Your real commitment. That's where power begins. Not in the lie. In the truth. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I see myself clearly. Number 3, excuses are stories for a weak mind. How many excuses did you make this week? How many times did you explain why you didn't do something instead of simply doing it? How many times did you tell yourself a story about why it wasn't your fault? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Every excuse you accept becomes permission for failure. Every time you explain instead of improving, you give away control over your life. You hand that control to circumstances. To other people. To bad luck. To timing. You become a victim of your own story. And Machiavelli had no patience for victims. He understood that excuses are just stories people tell themselves to avoid responsibility. Because responsibility is heavy. It's uncomfortable. It means that if something is wrong, you have to fix it. But excuses? Excuses are easy. They're light. They let you off the hook. I didn't have time. I didn't have the resources. I didn't have the support. I didn't know how. All of those things might be true. But they are also irrelevant. Because the real question is not whether obstacles exist. Of course they exist. Obstacles are always there. The real question is this: will you let those obstacles define you? Or will you find a way through them? Excuses are just stories. And stories can always be rewritten. Instead of saying, I didn't have time, you could say, I didn't make it a priority. Instead of saying, I didn't have the resources, you could say, I wasn't creative enough to find a way. Instead of saying, I didn't have support, you could say, I didn't build the right relationships. Do you see the difference? One version makes you powerless. The other version gives you something you can actually work on. One version keeps you stuck. The other version shows you a way forward. And here's the thing about excuses. They grow. The more you use them, the easier they become. And the easier they become, the more often you use them. Until one day your entire life is built on explanations for why things didn't work out. And that's not a life. That's a eulogy. So stop. Stop explaining. Stop justifying. Stop defending your limits. Start owning them. Start saying, I chose not to, instead of, I couldn't. Start saying, I didn't make it a priority, instead of, I didn't have time. Start saying, I was afraid, instead of, it wasn't the right moment. Because honesty, even painful honesty, gives you power. Excuses take that power away. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I own my choices. Number 4, if you can't face reality, you can't control it. Power starts with one thing. Seeing the world as it really is, not as you wish it were. This is where most people fail. They want reality to match their hopes. They want the world to be fair, kind, and to reward good intentions. And when it doesn't, they feel betrayed. But Niccolò Machiavelli wasn't focused on fairness. He focused on what works. And what works is this. Clarity. Cold, hard, unfiltered clarity. Lies you tell yourself distort reality. They put a filter over what you see. You start seeing what you want to see instead of what's actually there. And when your view of reality is distorted, your decisions become disastrous. You hire the wrong people because you focus on their potential instead of their track record. You stay in the wrong relationship because you remember the good moments and ignore the pattern. You keep using the wrong strategy because you've invested too much to admit it failed. All of that comes from one place. Refusing to face reality. And here's something most people never admit. Clarity can be cruel. It doesn't sugarcoat anything. It doesn't protect your feelings. It doesn't care about your ego. It just shows you the truth. And sometimes the truth is harsh. It may show you that you're not as talented as you thought. That your plan isn't working. That people don't respect you the way you believed. And yes, that hurts. But you know what hurts even more? Living in a fantasy while the real world moves forward without you. Making decisions based on wishful thinking and watching them collapse. Wondering why nothing works when the answer has been right in front of you the whole time. You just refuse to see it. So be brutally honest with yourself. Not in a destructive way. In a clarifying way. Ask yourself the hard questions. Is this actually working, or am I just hoping it will? Am I respected here, or just tolerated? Am I growing, or am I stuck? Am I building something real, or just dreaming about it? Don't answer with what you wish were true. Answer with what is true. And if the truth is ugly, don't run from it. Use it. Let it guide your next move. Let it shape your strategy. Let it show you what needs to change. Because the only way to control reality is to see it clearly first. Completely. Without illusions. That's where real power lies. Not in hope. In awareness. Number 5, your emotions are not the truth. Here's something that might sting a little. Feeling good doesn't mean you're right. Feeling calm doesn't mean you're strong. Feeling confident doesn't mean you're prepared. Your emotions can lie to you all the time. They tell you stories. They distort what you see. They can turn small problems into huge ones, and huge problems into small ones. And if you let emotions guide every decision you make, they will eventually destroy you. Machiavelli warned about trusting emotions more than strategy. Why? Because emotions react quickly. They are short-term. They are based on how things feel in the moment, not on what is actually true. You feel angry, so you burn a bridge. You feel excited, so you make promises you can't keep. You feel afraid, so you quit before you even begin. In the moment, those choices feel right. But 6 months later, you realize they were terrible decisions. That's because emotion comforts the ego. It makes you feel justified. It makes you feel like you're doing the right thing. But truth is different. Truth strengthens your position. Truth is cold. It doesn't care how you feel. It cares about what works. And what works is learning to separate emotion from decision-making. That doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. You're human, not a machine. Emotions give you information. Fear tells you there may be risk. Anger tells you a boundary was crossed. Excitement tells you there might be opportunity. But information is not the same as instruction. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you should act on it. You must filter emotions through logic, strategy, and long-term thinking. Ask yourself, is this emotion helping me see clearly or clouding my judgment? If I act on this feeling, will I regret it tomorrow? What would the calm, strategic version of me do here? The version of you that is controlled by emotion is weak and easy to manipulate. But the version of you that understands emotion without being ruled by it, that version is dangerous. That version can't be baited. Can't be manipulated. Can't be thrown off balance. That version sees clearly, even when there is chaos inside. And that's the kind of person Machiavelli would respect. Not the one who feels right. The one who is right. Number 6, people respect those who are honest with themselves. Here's something many people don't realize. Even if they can't explain it, people can sense when someone is lying to themselves. They can feel it in your energy. They hear it in the way you talk. They see it in your actions. Insecurity leaks out. It shows in your posture. In your tone. In how you make decisions. When you're lying to yourself, you constantly try to compensate. You over-explain. You try too hard. You keep trying to convince other people, and yourself, that everything is fine. And people notice it. They might not know exactly what's wrong, but they can feel something is off. And what they feel is weakness. But when you're brutally honest with yourself, something changes. You stop trying to prove yourself. You stop defending. You stop performing for others. You simply become real. And that creates something powerful. Internal alignment. Your thoughts, your words, and your actions all point in the same direction. And people feel that. They sense the stability. They sense the quiet confidence. They sense the grounded energy of someone who knows exactly who they are and what they stand for. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. And alignment creates a silent kind of authority. You don't need to demand respect. You don't need to dominate the room. You don't need to tell people you're strong. People simply feel it. They just know. Because there's no gap between who you really are and who you pretend to be. There's no performance. No mask. No fake version. Just raw, honest truth. And truth is magnetic. It pulls people in. It makes them trust you. It makes them want to follow you. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. You're not hiding anything. You're not pretending. You're not selling people a fantasy. You're showing them exactly who you are, flaws and all. And you're not apologizing for it. That takes courage. Real courage. But it also gives you something most people never achieve. Real influence. Not influence based on manipulation. Not influence based on charisma. Not influence based on playing mind games. But influence based on one simple thing, alignment. When who you are inside matches what you show outside. And people like that are rare. Aligned people are powerful. So stop trying to create an image. Stop trying to convince people that you are something you're not. Be honest with yourself first. And the respect will come naturally. Number 7, lying to yourself makes you easy to control. A man who doesn't understand his own motives can easily be manipulated. A man who hides from his weaknesses will end up being controlled by them. When you lie to yourself, you create blind spots. And those blind spots become leverage points for anyone who wants to control you. Think about it. If you refuse to admit that you crave validation, people will control you with praise. If you refuse to admit that you fear rejection, people will control you with the threat of exclusion. If you refuse to admit that you're insecure about your abilities, people will control you by questioning your competence. All of this works because you haven't faced those truths about yourself. You buried them. You denied them. You pretended they didn't exist. But when something stays buried, it keeps power over you. The moment you drag it into the light and say, yes, this is true about me, something changes. It loses its power. No one can manipulate you with something you already understand about yourself. No one can control you with a weakness you have already accepted. That's what self-knowledge gives you. Independence. Not independence from people, but independence from their ability to pull your strings. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this very well. He saw that rulers who didn't understand themselves were easy to manipulate. Flatter their ego, and they make foolish decisions. Challenge their pride, and they overreact. Trigger their fears, and they freeze. All of that happens because they don't truly know themselves. But a leader who understands his strengths, his weaknesses, his triggers, and his blind spots is much harder to control. He sees the manipulation. He understands the game. And he stays in control. The same applies to you. When you become honest about what drives you, what scares you, what you want, and what you avoid, you become much harder to manipulate. Not because you're perfect, but because you're aware. And awareness is armor. So stop running from the parts of yourself you don't like. Stop pretending they aren't there. Face them. Name them. Own them. Because the moment you do, they stop being weapons others can use against you. They become tools you can use for your own growth. Now drop this affirmation in the comments. I know myself. Number 8, truth is painful, but power is built on pain. Facing your limits hurts. Admitting fear stings. Taking responsibility burns. Truth is not gentle. It doesn't comfort you. It doesn't pat you on the back and say everything is fine. Truth cuts. But here's something Machiavelli understood deeply. Short-term pain prevents long-term destruction. The pain of truth is temporary. Yes, it's sharp. Yes, it's uncomfortable. But it fades. What doesn't fade are the consequences of avoiding the truth. The slow loss of your potential. The quiet death of your dreams. The buildup of regret. That pain doesn't disappear. It grows. Year after year. Until one day you wake up and realize you built your whole life on lies you told yourself. And by then, fixing it becomes much harder. So you have a choice. You can accept the sharp, honest pain of truth today. Or you can live with the slow, endless pain of regret tomorrow. One requires courage for a moment. The other requires surrender for a lifetime. Machiavelli chose truth. Not because he loved pain. But because he understood something important. Power is built on pain. Every strong foundation is built on hard truths. Every great achievement begins with honest self-evaluation. Every real transformation starts with saying, "This isn't working," and having the courage to change. Yes, it hurts. But it's productive pain. The kind of pain that makes you stronger, sharper, and clearer. Truth cuts. But it also sharpens. It removes the illusions. The fantasies. The lies. And what remains is the real you. Not the version you wish you were. Not the version you pretend to be. But the version that actually exists. And that version, the real one, is the only version capable of building something meaningful and lasting. So embrace the pain. Don't run from it. Let truth cut away everything that's holding you back. And stand in what remains. If you want power, stop lying to yourself. If you want control, stop protecting your ego. If you want strength, choose truth over comfort. Every single time. Because the moment you stop lying to yourself is the moment you stop being weak in silence. It's the moment you take back control of your life, your decisions, and your future. Machiavelli didn't write about kindness, hope, or positive thinking. He wrote about reality. About what actually works. About what separates winners from losers. And the difference isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't circumstances. The difference is honesty. Winners look at themselves without fear. They see their flaws. They admit their fears. They accept their mistakes. And then they improve. Losers keep lying. They keep making excuses. They keep waiting for a better time that never comes. So the question is simple. Which one will you be? Will you keep whispering comfortable lies to yourself? Or will you face the hard truths that set you free? Because the truth may hurt. But the lie will destroy you. Choose wisely. And if this video spoke to you the way I think it did, hit the like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. And subscribe to the channel. Because we're just getting started. There's a lot more truth coming your way. If you're ready for it, I'll see you in the next video. Stay sharp.